I remember this perfectly. This is that we're at a red light. He stops in the intersection, and he's like he stopped at the end of the intersection, so I'm in the intersection.
Yeah.
He's fucked me. And this car's coming this way on the right, so I didn't know what to do. The guy, there's a bar on the corner. This guy in a leather jacket, I remember, bald guy, runs out of the bar, jumps in my back seat, pulls my friend, psycho friend, in the back, and they're just fighting.
What's up, guys, and thank you for tuning into this episode of the podcast. Before we start, this is a quick announcement to let you guys know that I'm dropping bonus episodes on Auxoro Premium. For the price of an iced coffee per month, you get 2 bonus episodes of my show, The Aux, every month that covers exciting, deep, and sometimes twisted topics like MK Ultra, the COVID lab leak hypothesis, Fight Club, dating, the obesity epidemic, ayahuasca, alien encounters, and more for less than $5 per month. In addition to 2 bonus episodes per month, you also get exclusive Ask Me Anything episodes, the ability to submit topic suggestions for the Aux and the Auxoro podcast, and access to all archived bonus episodes to binge at your leisure. Right now, there's over 25 hours of archived content, and it grows every month. For the best deal in premium podcasting, visit auxoro.supercast.com to sign up today. No topic off limits. That's Auxoro, AUXORO.supercast.com. Thank you for your support. And now, on to the episode.
So, Mark, thanks for joining me. Appreciate it on the Auxoro podcast. And shout out to Gotham Podcast Studio for giving us the great treatment today. Appreciate it, guys.
Good place over here.
Yeah. So I wanted to start with something that happened recently, which is Bob Saget passing away.
Is that right? I hadn't heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
He's yeah, it happened. He's no longer with us. And I saw Penn Gillette wrote this op-ed actually in the New York Times, and he was really good friends with Bob Saget, Penn and Teller from the Magician Group.
Sure, I know Gillette.
Yeah, and
Sold him a few jokes once.
What do you think
About him?
about the jokes? Did you kill with him?
Well, yeah, I didn't kill Saget, but Penn Gillette saw some Twitter jokes of mine, and he was like, "These jokes would work great in my act. Can I buy them?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. I'm just tweeting them." So that was it. That was my only interaction with Penn Gillette. He was a nice guy, but he paid handsomely for a couple tweets.
Does that happen a lot? Will people hit you up that are also celebrities or comedians or both and be like, I want to buy that last tweet or that last, if it's not already out there as you, will people try to snag that?
Actually, not as much as you think. Fun fact, the first real money I ever made in comedy, $1,500. Larry the Cable Guy bought 5 jokes from me, gave me $1,500, and they were bullshit jokes I had written down in a notebook. And my manager at the time was like, "Do you have anything? You're worthless." I was an open micer, and I was like, "I wrote these jokes." And he goes, and he was managing Larry the Cable Guy as well. And he was like, "Larry the Cable Guy, do you want these?" And he would happen to be doing a roast, and he's like, "I'll take them. I got no jokes." And they were horrible jokes, but he could somehow use them in the roast.
Yeah.
And that was like my big sale.
I always wondered why there's not really any covers in comedy. Like in music, when you start out, I could get on stage and like one of my favorite artists is Black Bear. He singer, does the Hot Girl Bummer song.
Okay.
That was blowing up last year. And
Hot Girl Bummer?
Hot Girl Bummer off of Hot Girl Summer, about all the hoes that did him wrong.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, you're being a hot girl bummer. And so I could get on stage and I could do a Black Bear cover, and that's understood. It's not my material. I'm paying homage to this guy, but I can't get on stage and do it with Tight 5 Midgets by Mark Norman. Be like, this is Mark Norman 2011.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this bit now.
You probably could, but I think people want your point of view. Like, you could go up and do my act, and it might do well, it might not. But if you said, "Hey, this is from some other guy," I think it takes the whole specialness of comedy away.
Yeah, like you're losing the perspective.
Yeah, whereas a song, you can just tap right in and get in there.
Yeah. So the reason I brought up Penn Gillette is he wrote an op-ed in the New York Times about his friend Bob Saget.
Look at you. You did your homework.
Yeah,
you printed shit out. I love it.
Being a good boy. And I wanted to read you an excerpt. So he says
please.
about Bob Saget, This is Penn Gillette. We now consume much of our art in bite-sized chunks.
Yep.
Sometimes just second a video stripped of context, the message without the messenger. When my children watched little snippets of Bob and read some quotes, they couldn't know that Bob Saget didn't do transgressive comedy to be mean. He didn't even do it to shock. He did it to make people laugh, to test himself, and to let the audience test him, and to form a connection with them. So R.I.P. Bob Saget. And about that connection, do you feel that connection when you go on stage with the audience, like a mutual level of trust, or is it more like you're saying and you're getting a reaction, but there's not like a back and forth energy there? How does that feel when you get on stage?
It's a good question. I'm worried we're boring the audience, but hey, you gotta press on.
Oh, they're hanging on with us.
Okay, that's all I needed.
Yeah,
but I think
you're killing.
All right. Well, I'm kind of getting to this place now where I'm having people come out to see me, which is new and fun and awesome. And they trust me. They'll meet you halfway. But I still do all these spots all over the city. I did 4 last night. I'm doing 4 tonight at different comedy clubs. And these are tourists. These are foreigners. These are, blue-collar people or finance people. They don't know who the fuck I am. So those people, you have to earn their trust. And you earn their trust by opening with some tried and true. And they go, okay, this guy's funny. We'll listen. And that's a hard part about comedy. But with Bob, we all know him. Problem with Bob Saget is he's on the Full House show. He's on America's Funniest Home Videos. He's America's dad. He's cute. He's clean. He's squeaky. He's buttoned up. And then he comes out talking about pedophilia for 20 minutes. So I think he scares the shit out of people. But I have a theory that dirty comics are the sweetest people. And these clean comics, Cosby, I think they got some shit hidden. I'm not saying all clean comics are scary, psycho, rapists, criminals, but I think they're hiding something. I think if you get it out on stage, audiences are so fucking stupid. If you get it out on stage, people go, he's talking about pedophilia. He must be a pedophile. It's like, are you fucking nuts, you soccer mom, Karen cunt? This guy is saying it. If he was actually a pedophile, he would never mention pedophilia. You know? So I think
they would be onto him. That wouldn't be a good move.
Yes, that'd be horrible. But he's getting his dirty. We all have fucked up thoughts. We do this thing where we, getting people in trouble or shame them or cancel them, whatever you want to call it. Like the person who's canceling you has never done anything wrong. They're perfect. They're morally superior. No, we're all fucked up. We're all animals. We're all twisted. Some people are just better at hiding it. Some people maybe haven't tweeted it or don't have a stand-up act where they talk about crazy shit. But yeah, he's had fucked up thoughts. They're funny. And the reason they're funny is because they're fucked up. So, yeah, pedophilia is horrific and crazy and all this shit. But he's trying to make light of it.
Yeah, it's like everyone has that baggage. Everyone has that emotional shit that they need to get out.
Yeah.
And then if you have someone that's super clean, whether they're a comedian or a construction worker or whatever, like people show up to work and then they put on this facade of a clean personality. And if you're never kind of getting shit in the back door of letting all that dirty stuff out of your mind and opening up the gasket every once in a while, then it's all pent up, and then you're dropping pills in ladies' drinks, or you're doing pedophilia, whatever.
Sure.
But yeah, it's I have the same feeling. If someone's too
squeaky,
too squeaky, too like performative, it's like
too perfect.
It's like you hear the niceness and the squeakiness in their voice, but then there's something behind it. It's almost like a deadness to them when they're like, I gotta keep this shit down, so I'm gonna keep this act going. It's like they're doing fucking stand-up all the time, but they're only letting the clean shit out.
And that's even scary because now they're building up this just pile of sin inside them, and they're gonna get it out somewhere. And it's going to be with a lady in an alleyway or whatever the fuck it is, or a kid in a playground or a van. But I do want to say, every comic now is like, everybody's offended and people get mad at me and try to censor me. It's like, all right, this is nothing new. This shit's been happening since the dawn of time. But what did change is now we're rewarding people for busting the guy or the gal. And that's now it's like currency to... I caught that guy with his bad jokes or his inappropriate humor, problematic. So it used to just be like some crazy religious psycho was like, put Lenny Bruce in jail. He said cocksucker.
Yeah.
And now it's like, put Bob Saget, get him off the stage because he said a pedophile joke. Look at me, guys.
Yeah.
I hate pedophilia.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, I get it, but he hates it too, but you just want the clicks.
It's because it's not the criticism that's necessarily the bad thing. Like, and I experienced that on a much smaller level than you, obviously. But when someone reaches out to me privately about a podcast and says, "Hey, you said this about trans people or
Right.
whatever, and I just want to let you know I've had this experience, and a lot of what you said is true, but also this is something that is not, like, you should definitely look more into this." I appreciate the hell out of that. But then if that same person went on Twitter and was like, retweet how much a piece of garbage asshole you are, they're doing it for points. But when it's in my DMs or it's a text, I'm like, that's adding to my podcasting because I'm getting the feedback and I appreciate it. And maybe I'll have them on the podcast. Who knows?
Yeah, and it's constructive, and we can actually have a dialogue and discuss. Maybe I am wrong. Maybe I am going too far. Let's discuss it. But to just go, you're a piece of shit. Look, everybody, what a piece of shit. And look at this article I wrote about it. Hire me. You know, I called out this piece of shit. And you're like, all right, come on. You're not moral. You're just a narcissist.
Yeah. Yeah, but Bob Saget's a rare person because I don't know anyone else who I enjoyed for different reasons, but the same intensity as a 10-year-old and also a 28-year-old. Like when I watched Full House with my mom and I was 10 years old, like I really enjoy that side of Bob Saget. Maybe I would still enjoy it. I haven't watched Full House in a really long time. But then I discovered his comedy when I was probably 21, 22, just looking on YouTube last year of college. And I was like, holy shit, I had no idea Bob Saget was, this type of stand-up. And I enjoyed the shit out of it. And I felt like I was meeting a new person, but I wasn't. And I can't think of someone else who was in my life at 10 watching them, and now they're in my life at 28, completely different shit. But it's like working for me at the time.
Yeah.
So well, it's a crazy combo.
It's a crazy combo. So I get why people are like, what the fuck? I thought he was this guy, but he turned out to be that guy.
Yeah.
But everybody's fucked up. I don't know. We're getting into this weird thing where, like, we used to have HR at work. You go to the office, you can't tell a lady, hey, great tits. Obviously, it's an office, I mean, you're thinking great tits, but you can't say it. And now we're kind of getting to this HR culture where it's like, you got to be like that everywhere because everything is online. Everything is public now. So it kind of makes sense that HR would just grow out to every place on the internet, because that's how we live now. Everything is exposed.
Hey guys, this is a quick break in the episode to remind you that you can sign up for Auxoro Premium to get 2 bonus episodes every month on topics like MK Ultra, free will, ayahuasca, Fight Club, dating, aliens, UFOs, and more. No topic off limits. Head to auxoro.supercast.com. That's AUXORO.supercast.com to get the best deal in premium podcasting for less than the price of an iced coffee per month. auxoro.supercast.com. Now, back to the episode.
Yeah, it's like a global network of HR on Twitter, and everyone's working for them, or a lot of the blue check marks are working for them, but no one's getting paid. Like, people are getting fired up and acting like HR, but they're not getting paid to do it. So it's a weird thing. It's like you're inviting all of this.
But they are getting paid. They're getting paid in
the social currency.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the payment now.
Yeah.
And if you're a talentless fucking loser who can't create anything, that is your creation. Look at me. Yeah. I'm the guy who took down Bob Johnson, the pedo joke guy. That's my claim to fame.
So it's like if you're a blue check mark on Twitter, you could be a high class hooker for social currency. If you see something, you can accept that social currency and be like, I'm down to do whatever. I'll get dirty for you. I'll say whatever you want if you give me those points.
Yeah, and I don't get why we pick and choose. Like, if you're one of these, hey, you can't say that. Hey, that's offensive. Hey, your words are hurtful or whatever. I get it. You can be that person. That's your choice. That's your life. But they pick and choose when other people do it. They don't say anything. Like Dave Chappelle was the transphobe. It was the biggest news on the planet. And that trans lady kept being like, his words are violence. And then we found her tweets, and it was like, I beat up that Asian N-word. Fuck this Asian homo, fag, whatever. And you're like, okay, what about her? Get her now. And they didn't.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, why didn't you get her? So you really don't give a shit. If you really gave a shit, you'd be a little consistent. but
Yeah.
they're not because she's not famous and he is. I
Yeah.
assume that's why. If you really care, go after her as well.
Yeah. Didn't you say Rogan was getting in some stuff for
Apparently he's in
having
trouble.
a guy on him?
Yeah, because of the
The vaccine.
misinformation, yada,
Yeah.
yada, yada.
That's a weird one because it's not surprising, but to have someone who puts out every piece of content to 10
Yeah.
million people,
Right.
just downloads, and then another 10 million when he was on YouTube, and now people are watching on Spotify. It's like you have these people that are going to freak out, and that's going to be 3 people, maybe 2 people out of 1,000. But then when you have 18 million people listening to an episode, that 3 people becomes like 30,000 or 300,000. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know how he handles the backlash, but
I don't either.
He's doing it.
He kicks a bag. He takes DMT. He's like a super
Yeah.
nice, open-minded guy, and everybody. He's like, we need an enemy. We had Trump, and then we had this guy, then we have that guy, then we have him. So I don't know. You need that like common enemy to yell at, I guess.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to ask you is how you prep for Rogan, because you crush it when you go on there. You have great episodes. I saw the one with the most recent one you did with Shane Gillis and Ari Shafir. That those are hilarious too. And your solo episodes you crush.
Oh, thanks. I had no idea.
And so I wanted to know, how do you prepare for that sort of setting where you're not on stage, you're not doing 15, 30. You don't have to be funny, but your goal, I would assume, is to be funny for 17 hours, however long he's gonna record.
Right.
What do you kind of do before an episode like that?
Well, I look at Rogan as it's just another podcast, but anything that's going to be seen a lot, I prepare for, like Netflix, my YouTube special, Rogan, some other podcast that has a zillion views. It doesn't matter that it's Rogan. It matters that it's a giant podcast platform. So the first one I did, I prepped like a motherfucker. I had all my stories ready because you don't want to sit there and be like, "Oh, what was that thing? I got something." You don't want any dead air. You want to just bring it. And but then you also don't want to try too hard. You don't want to perform too much, but you also want to be funny. So it's this weird balance. But I remember I was going in to Rogan and I called Ari because he's done it a million times. He used to open for Rogan. He knows him for years. And I go, I did a Tonight Show. I got drunk in L.A. and then woke up and I'm on my way to Rogan now. I'm still in my suit. And is that crazy? Should I go change? Should I go to the Gap right now and buy an outfit, like a T-shirt, so I don't look like a weirdo? And he goes, "You're already overthinking it. Just go in. Just have fun." I was like, you're right. And I think that's the key. Don't sit there. I mean, look, prepare, but don't have a script. Don't have buttons like, when he says this, I'm gonna say that. Just go in and be you, be funny, but be natural.
Yeah, and you did have the suit the first time.
Yeah,
right.
That's why.
And it worked out.
Yeah, I was celebrating after Tonight Show, and I'm like, I got Rogan tomorrow. It's a great weekend. Here we go. And then I overslept, and I had to go straight there.
Yeah, it's a weird dynamic, and I feel the tension between trying to come off genuine, but also preparing from the host end. And Rogan does it so well. Obviously, like he's one of my heroes in podcasting. And even right now, like having notes in front of me, but then also talking and being in the moment. It's like I know that something's going to come up, like maybe a story on a podcast, and I want to be able to talk about that. And at the same time, I want to listen to what you're saying right now. So I'm like, I'm always experimenting with like what's the right way to do shit.
You're doing great. Good questions.
Yeah.
You're natural, nice guy, likable.
All right, so let's tank this then. I'm doing
All
too well.
right.
Here we go.
And I appreciate the Woodford.
Oh yeah, I got a present for you at the end.
With the gifts. Come on, you don't have to do that.
So I was just down in New Orleans.
Hey,
in October.
Who dat?
Crazy city. I've never been in a city that goes harder for Halloween.
Oh, they go hard. Frenchman Street.
I was down there the week before Halloween, and it was the first parade that they had since the beginning of COVID. So everyone was out there and getting rowdy.
Yep.
And a great time. So I wanted to know, what's your favorite story to tell about New Orleans? Something that happened to you in New Orleans. could be growing up. Anything that sticks out about an experience you had growing up there.
Well, I've told all my crazy ones. You know, I grew up in a bed and breakfast in Tremay, which is a town or the neighborhood right outside the quarter. I had a transgender nanny. We got robbed all the time. My parents got held up at gunpoint one time. I lost my virginity to a prostitute on Bourbon Street. I one time was a crazy story where I drove a car. We bumped a guy. He called a friend. The friend jumped out, ran out of a bar, jumped. I had a convertible. He jumped in the back seat. He's fighting my friend. We pushed him out. He called the cops. I got a million stories.
Let's get into the last one, the guy that jumped into your car. I haven't heard that one yet.
Really?
No.
Oh, I've told it. I think I told it on Bert's pod, but I'll give you the short version. Yeah. So it was like the week of graduation, senior year. So high school's ending. It's a huge deal. You know, I went to a Catholic high school with a bunch of meathead retard guys, and so we had like a half day or whatever. So it was a Friday. So we said, we're getting out at noon. We're all going to this park, and we're going to buy a bunch of kegs and just drink in the sunshine all day. You know, 17-year-old shit.
Yeah, day drinking.
Yeah.
Good times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
being drunk when the sun's up.
Exactly. So, you know, we're throwing Frisbee, we're wrestling, whatever the hell it is. And so we get word, I had a beeper back then. That's how long ago this was. And we get word, hey, Jay's having a party at his house. So we're like, woo! Now we're all tuned up from the booze, and the sun's going down. So we're like, let's go to Jay's house. So we get on the highway. It's rush hour. It's like 5, 6 o'clock. I'm on the highway. It's bumper to bumper. I got a 1971 Cutlass convertible. Beautiful. Oldsmobile. And I need to get off on this exit. And this guy, I'm like, can I get in? Can I get in? I'm hammered. And the guy's like, no. And he kind of like, fuck off. So I get behind him and I bump him because I was pissed. So this is all my fault.
Little love tap. There you go. Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Nobody got hurt. No damage done. But I realize I'm in the wrong here. This guy could probably see this and fuck my world up. But gave him a love tap, and I'm sitting there with my buddy. Now, my friend is a psycho. He's, I think he was a freshman at the time, so he was like 14. He looked like a 9-year-old. He's skinny. He's wiry. He's got, you know, fucking disheveled hair. He's sticky. He's young. He's got chocolate around his mouth. He's a kid.
He's a psycho in training.
Yes.
Yes, there you go.
But he would do anything you said. That's the only reason we hung out with him. We're seniors, and I'm hanging out with this kid because you could say, hey, go up to that guy and punch him in the face, and he would do it. He was that kid.
It's a good friend to have.
Good friend to have.
You never know when you're going to play that card.
He's now in jail, obviously. But this kid was like a living legend.
Yeah.
And, you know, we looked like weirdos hanging out with him, but he was that wild. I mean, he skipped school to come drink with us as a freshman. This kid was a psycho, but great kid. And I think his dad died in front of him. He's got a whole history. But so I'm with him, and we bump the guy. So the guy's like in the mirror, like the rear view, like, what the fuck? I'll kill you. You know, we're like, all right, whatever. I got this guy here. I'm fine. And so I bump him again because I'm like, hey, you want to go? Let's go. And then he puts the car in park, gets out, walks past me. So you're kind of like, uh-oh, here we go. He's walking towards us, walks past me, gets my license plate, slams on the trunk, and gets back in his car. And we were kind of like, oh, that was weird.
Yeah.
All right, whatever.
So he just got right back in his car?
Got right back in his car. So we thought, like, this is it. He's going to, like, swing at us. But it was a smart move. And we're like, all right, whatever. Now, he pulls out a fucking Nokia brick from 88. And
like the fucking Wall Street
Gecko.
cell phone. Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Whatever. Okay. It's 2001, 2000. I don't know. And so now we get off the interstate. Now we're on the street level. And we're on Magazine Street and Race. I remember this perfectly. We're at a red light. He stops in the intersection. And he's like, he stops at the end of the intersection, so I'm in the intersection. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. He's fucked me. And this car's coming this way on the right, so I didn't know what to do. The guy, there's a bar on the corner. This guy in a leather jacket, I remember, bald guy, runs out of the bar, jumps in my back seat, pulls my friend, 14-year-old friend.
The psycho friend.
Friend.
Bad
in
move.
the back, and they're just fighting like it's a swashbuckler movie or like Roadhouse. They're just on their knees on a back seat, fist fighting each other. This is a man.
Now, is your friend is he the psycho friend that sadistically enjoys getting in fights? Like,
yes.
I would have a friend. I had a friend growing up where you would hit him in the face and he would enjoy it. Like, he'd literally start smiling. He'd be like, hit me again, motherfucker. Like, is he that kind of friend?
He was completely that guy. But he's little, which was even scarier. You know, it's like, they make every ghost movie has a little kid as the ghost because kids are fucking scary.
Yeah.
And this kid's got nothing to lose. His dad was shot in front of him. He's sticky. He's got chocolate on him.
God damn.
He's going at it. So they're just like, ah! And I'm like trying to steer, but also hit the guy. And I just panic. I go, throw him out. So this kid gets like mom strength when the kid's under the car and they flip the car over.
Yeah.
He gets mom strength and he just grabs the guy, throws him. I watch him roll over my trunk and just roll on the ground like in a movie. So we're like, I'm just freaking out. It's like 6 PM in the middle of a major city. And this guy's just rolling on the ground. And I'm like, what the fuck? This really escalated. What are we going to do? So we get to Jay's house. We tell everybody the story. We're like, this is crazy. We get even drunker. It kind of time passes by. Now my beeper's going crazy. Beep, beep, 911, boop, boop, emergency, beep, boop, boop. I'm like, what the hell? So it's my mom. And she's like, answer me, answer me, answer me. So I called my mom, and I'm like doing my good sober voice. Hello, mother. And she's like, get over here. The cops are here. What the hell did you do? You killed a guy. He's in the hospital. You're going to jail. Your life is over. And I'm like, ah! So I'm like, I got to go home. And my friend goes, wait, if you're going home, eat this. And he pulls out a big Jif, and he scoops a hand out and puts it in my mouth. And
that was the same psycho friend gave you
different
the
guy. That
different
was Jay.
guy.
That was the party guy. Yeah.
Okay, so you got the one friend. You got some good friends right there. You got the one friend that's willing to get his ass kicked in a fight, and he enjoys it.
Yeah.
So he's getting something out of it selfishly. Maybe he wanted to have a good day, so he's like, I'm just gonna fucking throw myself in there.
Totally.
And then the other friend wants to absorb the alcohol in your system with the peanut butter. So he's thinking about, how am I going to look out for Mark's health? And the other one's like, how am I going to look out for Mark's health?
Yeah,
Two different ways, both come together.
Good guys.
It's a beautiful story.
It was the peanut butter was for the breath.
Oh,
that's a move for the kids at home.
So that's a good point. So it soaks up the alcohol, and then you can also talk to your mom in person with the sober voice that you practice on the phone.
Exactly.
And then you're good to go.
Yeah, so, I'm petrified, but the booze is keeping me calm. I get to my house, there's 8 cop cars there. I walk in, and there's like 4 cops in my living room drinking coffee out of a little thing, My
Probably
mom,
some whiskey in there.
Yeah, but my mom's like, serving them. It was super weird. And they're like, sit down, what happened? And I tell them my whole story, and in my head, I'm like, I'm nailing this, but I'm probably like, I don't remember it. But the cop was like, look, I'm on a level with you, kid. This guy says you pushed him out of a car and ran him over. If that's true, you're in a lot of trouble. Let's go outside and see the car. And he goes out and he goes, that fits the description. I'm like, I didn't run over anybody. I swear to God, a guy jumped in my car. I tried to keep it somewhat truthful. And he goes, let me smell your breath. And I breathed right in the cop's face. He was like, well, you don't smell like alcohol. And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was like, I maybe had a beer at 2:00, And he's like, all right. And then they left. And my parents are like, what the hell's wrong with you? What really happened? Blah, blah, blah. And eventually I got a subpoena. I got sued or whatever. I got to go to court. And so, long story short, we went to court, me and my dad, and the guy didn't show up.
The guy, this whole time, the guy didn't show up to court, and then nothing happens then.
That was it.
Like, you just get off?
You just got off.
He doesn't show up to defend himself?
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah, wow. So, moral of the story, keep peanut butter in your glove box.
Yes.
Just in case, whether you're solo driving or driving with friends. And so this guy's still in jail then, your psycho friend?
I believe. He went to boarding school when like a few years later, like boarding school, like off in the middle of nowhere in Mississippi. And then after that, I think he got some drug stuff and went to jail.
He sounds like a fun prison pen pal to have. I was looking into that during the pandemic because I was, bored like millions of other people.
Yeah.
And prison pen pals came up, and, he probably writes some colorful letters back and forth. And
I should keep in touch. Yeah. I'm sure he's, like an Aryan Nation guy in prison.
Yeah.
I'm sure he runs that yard with an iron fist.
Yeah, still got the iron fist that he developed as a child. Now, hopefully, his body's grown into the fist.
Yeah, you hope, because he was a little dude.
Yeah. So speaking of buzz driving, I feel like drinking, and it's separate from driving, is becoming less popular. Like
Yeah.
the
Less
like
popular.
the act of just having a drink after work. It feels like now everyone's on like they're smoking weed or
Right.
CBD, Xanax, and you know, nothing wrong with those. Whatever gets you off.
Sure.
But you and Sam Morrell, you have the podcast We Might Be Drunk. You guys have you know, you enjoy drinking. You've said, you know, it's like you learn how to drink when you're an adult, and you make it work. And
Yeah.
so yeah, it just seems like drinking's going out of style. I had you know, my blackout phase during college, and then learned to slowly drink as an adult. And
There you go.
and so for you, what are like your favorite or what's your journey been like with drinking essentially? Like how have you learned to drink like an adult for those people out there who are, you know, struggling with not blacking out every single night because you have to do it during podcasts, and then you go on set, you go on stage, you have a drink, and then you can keep it going for an entire day. So what are your kind of tips for keeping it going?
Well, I'm much like you. I had the horrible, 10 years of just blacking out, wetting the bed, getting, I got woken up in my car once. I was covered in piss and a cop knocked on my window. I fell asleep in my car. I fell asleep on the highway once and woke up and I was riding the guardrails in my car and had to get the tire change and all that, riding on the rim. I mean, just horrible shit. I'm an idiot and I realize it's all my fault. I'm lucky to be alive. But a lot of booze, and then what gets you is the shame, that hangover shame of like, what am I doing with my life? You're hungover till 5 the next day. You have to not answer your phone. You close the blinds. You're like just a piece of shit troll by your the boiler room. Like what am I doing? Then you jerk off, and then you watch TV, and you order food. You spend like $60 on leftover takeout, and it's just a sad way to live. But then when you get drunk again, you're like, hey, this is pretty good. But then that hangover is a real lesson. So that's what was getting me. The drinking was fun. The hangovers really fucked my life up. So I realized if I want to get anything done, I got to cool it with the booze. But I like booze. I heard a wise man once say, I like drinking so much that I don't abuse it. And I was like, that's good. And
it's like the addiction ruins the drug.
Yes. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, the booze. I mean, it's a reason why it's so popular. You just got to keep it cool. It's like a cupcake. You can't eat 18 cupcakes a day, but you have a cupcake once a week.
Yeah, that's kind of the realization that I had with booze, is that I was making my life miserable with the hangovers and with getting too drunk, because there's a point where I was getting so fucked up, especially, first year out of college, end of college, where I wasn't even enjoying myself anymore. I was just like, I need to get home.
Yep.
At this point, I can't even jerk off. I got to wait till the next day, too drunk for that even. And then
nothing comes out.
Exactly.
So it's just like, your dick is like breathing.
Dust. Yeah. I got that Gandalf dick just blown out dust.
Right.
And then I started to think about alcohol and really drugs in general. For me personally, how can I use alcohol to enhance whatever it is that I'm doing? Because I wanted to make my experience better. So for podcasts or going out, like I'll think about it a little bit before, where I'll say, okay, podcasts probably gonna feel good with 1 or 2 drinks. Then I got to keep this going. If I'm going out at night, how can I make alcohol a net positive in my life? Now that this sounds like the opposite of an AA meeting, where I'm just like talking about the positivity of bringing alcohol into your life.
There are goods to it.
But it's everything is so all or nothing with drugs, where it's like you want to, don't do this, or this is okay, and that fluctuates every few years. And there's so much gray area where you can, have a drink or two, or do whatever, and it's fine. It enhances, it makes shit better. It loosens you up a little bit. And
it's like anything. It's like fire. Fire can cook your food. It can warm your house, or it can burn your house down, or burn you, or burn down a forest. Or water. Water, you need water to live. You got to drink water. Water is good for cleaning and whatever, but there could also be a flood. It's like everything's got its ups and downs. So booze is the same way. And some people just get it out of their life completely, which I get it, and I think that's good for a lot of people, but I can't do that. I like it, and I want to. And think about how many people met their wives or husbands because of alcohol. Let's go out and get a drink.
Yeah.
You know, like I know a lot of sober people who are like, I can't get laid. I can't meet anybody because we go out for coffee. It's weird, you know. And I'm not saying you should need booze to meet people, but it helps, you
Yeah.
know.
Yes, sobriety. People talk about sobriety like it's a virtue. Like
Right.
being sober automatically makes you the best version of yourself. But
Sure.
there are a lot of sober pieces of shit, just like there are a lot of drunk pieces of shit. And I feel like you can modulate it to however you need to. Personally, there
Yes.
should be a discussion about it. Like maybe you should quit alcohol for 3 years. You don't you don't have to be a lifer, but
Yeah.
maybe you take a step back for 3 years and then you get back into it when you have a fully formed frontal lobe, and
Yes.
or maybe you cut back. And I just feel like it's very black and white when it comes to alcohol.
I agree. And what's more impressive? Look, quitting alcohol is amazing. I couldn't do it. Quitting meat is amazing. I couldn't do it. But what's more impressive? Quitting or learning to deal with it responsibly. Isn't that-
Learning to deal with it. for
Yeah,
sure.
like you got a wild stallion and you can't tame it. You can't get on its back. It won't let you. What's more impressive? Just going, all right, I'll never ride a horse again, or taming that beast, and now all of a sudden you're riding it into the sunset.
So if, let's say, hypothetically, you had to give up alcohol for the next 5 years, except for one situation in your life.
Oh,
So for me, it would be snowboarding. I would keep
Oh.
whiskey in my life, snowboarding, because there's nothing better than being on a lift in 30 degrees, powder underneath you, and then you take a swig and you just feel the warmth of whiskey going through you while
beautiful.
you're on the slopes, like a nice buzzed run at the end of the day.
That is very special. The sun is shining.
100%.
It's cold outside, but the whiskey's warm, and you just have that feeling of freedom.
Yeah.
I love it. It's like that scene in Shawshank Redemption where they tar the roof, and then the warden gives them a bucket of those ice cold golden beers.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's just the warmth coming out from inside you in that moment.
Totally. It's also crazy that booze was medicine, probably 100 years ago. Up till then, it was like,
Some people would still say it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, like a lot of people meditate, and that's great, but this for some people is a meditation. It's just like, it takes the edge off.
Yeah, they should. I do a meditation app in the morning, so maybe they should consolidate it. Meditation, buzzed meditation, for weekend
Yeah.
meditations when you're trying to get crazy.
Right, right.
Just see what would happen. Maybe it would be a cool experience.
Yeah, and I think like I'll do for me, alcohol, the whole point is, or drugs in general, you don't want it to fuck with your life. So if you can enjoy it and not have it ruin aspects of your life, then you're okay. But so I have it after, if I have a good set, I can have a beer. But a lot of the guys will have a beer before the set, and I'm like, that's tricky. Because now you're rewarding yourself and you haven't done anything yet.
So you go on completely sober, and then you use the beer as a reward if you have a
Yes.
good set. I like that.
Exactly.
I like that.
And you're done with work. Yeah, it went well. You're satisfied. Now I earned a beer.
Yeah. So for you, would it be, if you had to quit alcohol except for one thing, one situation, would it be that post beer or post set beer?
Yeah.
What would it be?
That would be it. Or, because now I used to just go hard all the time, like blackout shots, all this shit. And now I do that only on vacation. So, you go to Hawaii or something and you're like, all right, I'm having 12 Mai Tais. I'm going to lay in the sun.
Yeah.
I'm going to fall asleep, wake up, do it again. So,
And every day is a vacation. So there you go.
yeah, there you go.
Bumper sticker mentality.
So it'd be either be after a set or on vacation. Those are the two times I'll go for it. Like you go to a friend's bachelor party and you're in, the Virgin Islands. You're like,
Yeah.
I gotta get hammered.
Yeah. You've probably, being from New Orleans, you've probably had a lot of observational bachelorette party experiences, like just watching other groups in their element for that weekend.
Yes.
It's I was just at a show at Governor's Club in Long Island.
Sure.
And there was a bachelorette party there.
Uh,
And it was like it turned into an actual challenge for the comedians
course.
on stage, because they wanted to poke fun at the bachelorette party, but then they wouldn't shut up. And as the show kept going on, the back and forth kept leaking into the sets
Yep.
more and more. And
Yep.
then, finally this one of the comics at the end kind of just like shut it down, where he's just like, God, you're fucking annoying, and then like went into his joke, but it was funny, like the way that he said it. But
it's the weirdest phenomenon, these bachelorette parties and bachelor parties that go to comedy clubs, because let's be honest, you're bacheloretting or bachelor partying, you want to party, you want to go out, you want to get crazy, mayhem, chaos. Why the fuck are you going to somewhere where you have to sit quietly and listen for an hour and a half? It's the craziest idea, but it happens all the time.
And nonetheless, in Levittown, New York.
Yeah, right? Go to Manhattan. It's 20 minutes
They're
away.
not even at a comedy club in the city. They're in Long Island.
Yes. And look, I know it's a lot of work, but if you are looking for a comedy club where there's some interaction or something like a comedy show where there's like, you can heckle and it's part of it, you got to do a little research, because you could be going to see, Stephen Wright, who's like a one-liner, stoic, quiet, kind of mumbly comedian, and you're going to ruin the show.
Yeah. Maybe so. Like, I feel like when people go on bachelor parties, bachelorette parties, they're always trying to surround the degeneracy that they're engaging in with their bodies and minds with an epic city. Like Vegas or Nashville, Miami. So maybe Levittown, New York was actually a good choice, because it's like you're surrounding the degeneracy with depravity. There's literally nothing in Levittown, so it's like the inside matches the outside. I don't know.
You got a point. You got a point there. Yeah.
They might be onto something.
Now, you grew up in Long Island.
Did, yep. Plainview.
Now, what is
Plain Jew?
Plain Jew. Oh, is that right?
Yeah, plain. It's mostly white Jews. I would say about 70%, and then South Koreans. A lot of Jews, a lot of Koreans.
I feel like Jews and Koreans are similar. They're just hardworking, keep their head down. They got their culture. They stick with it. They kind of date their own.
Yeah,
a lot of it. Yeah. But Long Island. I mean, what is that like? Because everybody I meet from Long Island's a fucking just a psycho, but in a good way.
It depends what part of Long Island. So I would say you got to separate it by Nassau and Suffolk County.
Sure.
Because Nassau is like, it's closer to the city. You'll get more upbeat psychos. Suffolk County is more, it reminds me of upstate New York or a lot of places down south where everything's kind of spread out.
Oh, okay.
Kind of farmier. So it really depends. I mean,
is there a beef?
Between Nassau and Suffolk, not really.
Okay, that's good.
The biggest psychos to me growing up were probably old Jewish women. Like,
oh, really?
Just standing behind them in line at a deli and listening to the shit that they would talk about. Like, I would listen to entire 15-minute conversations in line just about how the turkey isn't as good as it used to be. And it's like not the typical psycho, but it's like it's a level of psychotic that you can only get to living in a place like Long Island. Like the
right.
turkey, there's not a lot going on. So
right.
Minimal shit like that takes up 80% of your processing power, and then you're letting it out. Like, you're letting the bad shit out in the form of, talking about turkey with another 85-year-old woman. And it's just like, it's like a cold Florida almost. I felt like people are
I like that.
It's people who haven't moved to Florida to die yet.
Yeah.
That want all 4 seasons of death.
Yeah. You know what else? It feels like people in New York City are psychos too. Don't get me wrong, but they're kept in check. If you're a psycho on the subway, somebody's going to go, shut the fuck up. Get out of here. If you're at the deli line, like, who the fuck is this bitch? Shut up, Karen, or whatever. People will keep you in check. Long Island, there's no check.
Yeah.
So you get the psycho with no filter.
Yeah. I enjoy the psycho cold honesty of the city much more, especially compared to other cities. I feel like the niceness of slower cities is more
brutal.
fake. It's more brutal. Fake than it is nice. Like, I know I've had so many conversations where it drags on and on and on, and there are a lot of people who are nice, but there are also conversations where both of us just are crying inside saying, I want to leave. Like, I was here to buy bacon, egg, and cheese, and I've been here for 14 minutes. Like, can we? And in New York, it's like, why are you still standing here? Like, get the fuck out. I gave you. And so I appreciate that kind of quickness, I guess.
I agree. I think there's more genuineness to it because I grew up in Louisiana, so it's that Southern hospitality. I guarantee, I do declare. But that shit is like we were saying with the clean comic. If you always have this nice, hospitable face on, you got to get it out somewhere, which is why we drink hard, why we party hard, why we hunt, why we have rebel flags. You know, we got to get it out somewhere. And that's I think that's what life's all about, is this balance.
Yeah.
So if you go hard one way, you're going to go hard the other.
Speaking of drinking hard, let me
Yeah, there you go.
let me drink a little bit harder.
Yeah, I go back to New Orleans and just getting a cup of coffee, you're like, come on. I know it's the South and we're all fat and sweaty, but like, I got shit to do.
I did have a good conversation with one of my waiters because we both realized that our table was next to a heroin needle right on the sidewalk, and it became like a running joke whenever you come back to the table. Yeah, and he took a picture of it. It was, it was a good time.
That was in New Orleans?
That was in New Orleans, yeah.
There you go.
Nice breakfast joint. So going back to drinking, or I guess we never left, continuing with drinking.
Sure.
I'd like to read you Norm Macdonald's pre-show routine according to his book based on a true story, which I just finished.
It's great.
Great. Awesome book.
I read it right when it came out, so it's been a little bit.
Yeah, and suspend your disbelief. You know, this could all be real, could be made up. Probably a mix of both, but either way, that's not the point. It's just take from it what you will.
Okay, yeah, it's very entertaining. It's kind of this Hunter S. Thompson-esque trip of comedy, the comedy world.
100%. So Norm Macdonald writes about his pre-show routine. Then it is time for my body. I stretch, beginning with my calves, and then without hurry, I add to the stretch so that it spreads all the way up my body and finishes with the neck. Very important, the neck. This is crucial since I hold most of my stress in my neck. I make sure each stretch is slow and deliberate. As I perform the stretches, I listen through the headphones to the calming strumming of the zither, the most relaxing of all instruments. With my mind in a state of cheerful slack and my body loosed, it is then time to work on my soul. I take out 2 6-milligram bars of Xanax and I slowly swallow them. And then I reach into my back pocket to find my flask, which is always filled with Wild Turkey 101. I upend it into my mouth, and then I drink until I have to stop to gasp for breath. Then I vomit. Then I close my eyes and think about the dog and the stream and all that shit. And then I end my pre-show routine by punching my agent in the stomach.
That's hilarious.
Classic.
Man, that's so great. That was beautifully written.
So, you want to take any ideas there from that pre-show routine? What's your pre-show routine
well,
like? Any crossover?
He's obviously bullshitting and being funny, but Norm has I'm obsessed with Norm, and he has a thing with punching people in the stomach. He just thinks that's so funny.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw Dirty Work, but the landlord would be like, if you don't pay rent, I will punch you in the stomach.
Something I need to watch.
Oh, and
I haven't. I know
Bob
it's a sin.
Saget.
Yeah, I know. It's a sin.
It's so funny. It's so off the wall and ridiculous, but it's hilarious, and it really lets Norm shine as Norm.
Yeah.
And a young, fat Artie Lang is fun.
Yeah.
But, I think that's great. He's kind of obviously mocking these weirdo, pretentious queefs who have like a Zen fountain and stretch and do shadow boxing or push-ups before they tell dick jokes in Cleveland. But, that's great. That's hilarious. But for me, I don't have anything. I like to look at my notes a little. I prefer to get a shower in. I like to shower before a show.
Hot or cold? Cold, psycho, hot. There you go.
I did the cold thing for 10 minutes, and I go,
10 minutes?
I mean, I did it for like a second in my life.
Okay,
and,
there you go.
It was, I guess I'm not disciplined enough. I couldn't do it.
I mean, it's
get it.
It's like a 30-second annoying coffee that you have to tell everyone else about that you did. And I did it. Like I still enjoy cold showers.
You
and
really?
When I first started doing it, I was like, I need to tell people about this. 5 seconds after you get out of the shower, like I got to tweet about cold showers, and I was like, all right, I'll calm down. Like,
They always have to tell you.
Yeah.
But somebody I know does the cold plunge where they jump in a pool, and I'm like, that I would prefer, because the shower it's actually harder because you have to do it yourself. You know, you got to have enough discipline not only take the cold but turn it on. So the cold plunge I would prefer, but
I feel like obviously this, this could be completely made up, some truth to it from Norm, but the sentiment I would guess is pretty accurate, where you have some semi-serious stuff that you do before you go
Sure.
on stage. Maybe you have 5 minutes to yourself in the green room or something. You do a quick meditation, and then you're like, all right, enough of this serious bullshit. I'm gonna have a beer, take a
Yeah.
shot,
Right.
start talking to my friends before, get in that cheerful mood. So it's like a good, when I was reading it, I thought, it's ridiculous, but it's also a good combination of the the life hack industry,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
kind of making fun
exactly.
of if you're not taking cold dips
Right.
and putting butter in your coffee, like, are you even alive, man? And
Yeah.
then you're also saying, okay, take a step back. Let me just be a human being for a little bit before I get on stage.
Totally, totally.
Yeah.
He's definitely right. I think you nailed it on the head.
Yeah.
I think you got the joke.
All right. So, what's something that's special about the New York comedy scene that you
Ooh.
can't get in LA or other cities? Something that when you're in New York, when I do 3 or 4 spots tonight, this is going to be something unique about that experience.
I hate to say it because you don't want to be that guy who just trashes LA, but there is a difference. I think, and look, there's a couple LA guys and gals who really work on the joke. They care about the joke itself. What's the thing I'm working on? Like I saw Gaffigan last night at Gotham. He's got a
Mm.
binder. He's got notes. He's like, I'm coming here to tweak and work out material. Whereas in LA, I feel like it's very, hey guys, I'm here. You're lucky I'm here. I'm kind of a celebrity. Let me bullshit with you for a minute. I'll say, I can tell myself I got on stage, I did the work, and then I'm going home in my
Mm.
nice apartment or my nice house. In New York, I feel like you come to the club to get work done.
Yeah.
And in LA, I feel like you go to the club, you schmooze. And look, I'm what generalizing. Not everyone does this, but I think most of LA. So I think in New York, it's all about making the perfect joke, making the joke better. Where in LA, it's more like, I'm a presence. I'm here. I'll kill or I won't kill, but I'm gonna be me, and you guys get on board or not get on board. Does that make sense? I feel
Yeah,
like
it's like New York is more about the grittiness of figuring out what works and what doesn't work. And then LA may still have that, but there's more schmoozing involved. There's
yes,
more
it's more of an
influencing,
appearance.
appearing. Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
big who's who and
Yeah,
what
yeah.
New York. I feel like guys like like Dave Attell, for example. He's just like quick in and out doing work, and like, I'm gonna go back to my life now.
Exactly. Like David Tell shows up at midnight. He smokes 8 cigarettes. He's got 12 jokes on Prince Andrew, 3 on Patton Oswalt, and then he goes home. And he's like, he's working. Where in LA, it's like it's more of a, hey, I'm out. I'm doing stuff. Look at me. Take a photo. It's more of like a cameo.
So that night you were there with Jim Gaffigan, you said he was working off of notes, and then you were more casual. You were kind of just seeing what worked off the top, or were you also using notes?
I had to go after him, but I was using notes too.
Yeah.
And look, you got your tried and true, but then you sandwich that around the shit that works.
Yeah.
And yeah, like he's a celebrity, so he can go up and really they trust him already. It's like you said earlier. They know who he is. They know he's funny. They know he's good. So he can bounce off of them a lot more. Whereas I have to go up and kill, earn their trust, then try new, lose them, get them back with shit that works.
Yeah, it's like if you're coming in with a celebrity status, then you have that extra maybe minute or two of mutual trust.
Oh yeah.
Before, if you're not funny, then everything levels out. But you get a little boost, I'm sure, when you go on stage.
But it still has to be funny.
Still has to be funny, yeah.
And he went through that part too, where he wasn't known and he earned it and yada yada.
Yeah.
So he did it the right way, and he's a great comic, and he had good stuff.
Yeah, it's funny. I watched his special last night, and it's hilarious. Jim Gaffigan, the new one on Netflix.
Comedy Monster.
Yeah, and Out to Lunch, available on YouTube.
Hey.
Also fucking hilarious.
Thank you.
Go check it out.
9.2 million views.
And climbing.
Oh yeah, we're trying to get to 10.
There you go. Someone's got to buy that. I feel like someone's got to make an offer.
You think? It's been out there over a year.
Maybe.
All right. I mean, it doesn't even matter at this point.
I'll buy it right now.
All right.
I got another bottle of whiskey for you.
That'll
break
do
it out. But so I actually saw you, Jim Gaffigan, Taylor Tomlinson. I think it was Al Franken at Gotham. Maybe like three months ago, 4 months ago. It was right before I went to New Orleans, so probably beginning of October. And it's funny because that show, you also had notes.
Yeah.
I saw you were working on the side with some notes, seeing what worked. And Jim Gaffigan was more off the top because he mentioned something towards the end of the set. He was like, I don't know if you guys could tell, but I'm working this shit out. And it was still hilarious, but it's just kind of funny to see the progression and dynamic of Jim Gaffigan getting on stage, working things out, trying to see what works, what doesn't, and then, watch his special. At that point, he already filmed it, but I hadn't seen it yet, and watch his special. I'm like, oh, that shit.
Yes.
You spruce it up. You try it 400 times.
Exactly.
And,
now, let me ask you. You're a non-comedian. You're an audience member. You don't write jokes. When you see a guy go up there with notes and trying stuff, is that a bummer? Like, hey, what the fuck? I want the real product. Or is it like, whoa, this is kind of cool. I'm seeing the process.
No, it's not a bummer at all. I am fascinated by the process of people telling jokes. Like, I'm a huge fan of comedy. I watch comedy on my lunch breaks. I'll just type in someone's name in the search bar on YouTube, and I'll just watch, like, Laugh Planet. Love those compilation videos where it just has a bunch of comics in one. And I appreciate seeing comedians try shit, whether it works or not. And I feel like it almost humanizes it.
Oh, for sure.
Because I feel like, in a way, I can relate to them better because I think of myself having notes on a podcast and writing that first draft of it and being like, oh, this question's kind of good. This one's dumb as fuck. Let me kind of thinking in my head how this is going to go. And so to see someone at that level on stage where they're telling it in person to dozens and then hundreds and then thousands of people, and knowing that I was there for that point in time where they worked on that joke, and it's Mark Normand, and he's telling a joke, and he has notes written out on his pad, and he goes back, and you made a comment about one of the jokes where you said like that worked, and then another one you said, oh, that one needs work. And then to see that on the next special, I'm going to think back to that moment and be like, holy fuck, I was there the night he was trying that joke early on. So to me, I enjoy that. I love seeing the progression of it.
But you're also a comedy fan, so I wonder if there's some guy from Jersey who's like, I drove in for this and you're fucking working out. I'm paying $60 and I got to watch you tell me half baked shit.
Yeah, but people are coming for you. They're not necessarily coming for finished jokes.
I don't know. I hope you're right.
I think.
What if they don't know me?
I think someone like you, when you're at the point where you can riff off the top, and baseline be funny. I'm sure you can make up a new 5 minutes tonight and then go on stage and do pretty well with 5 minutes that you just wrote tonight. And some nights might be better. Some nights might be a little bit, might need a little bit more work, but you're baseline funny and you've put in the work to do that. And so someone in the audience, they're going to get funny no matter what. It might be more polished. It might be more raw. But I think as an audience member, most people appreciate the spectrum between raw and polished, and they don't feel like they got robbed with the rawness.
All right.
I don't feel like most people, when they get done raw, they don't feel like they've got robbed. That's how I feel.
Okay, that's a good way to put it. I've had a lot of shows where I've tried some new shit or had an interaction with the crowd, and I get off stage and I shake hands or take photos, and people go like, when you did that thing with that guy in the crowd, that was amazing. And I was like, it's cool to hear, but part of you kind of dies because you're like, well, I worked on that toothpaste joke for 6 months and finally got it to work. But that's the part that sticks out. But I guess that's the breaks.
Yeah, and you're gonna work on it no matter what. So I feel like if you are going up there and to be cliche, you're trying your best and you're figuring out what shit works, what shit doesn't. That's what's gonna make it a good comedy show. I feel like people, they don't need super polished things. They need something that a comic is working on, and different jokes in that set will be at different levels of polish. But I don't think the shit that's more unpolished takes away from the audience experience, at least. I'm just talking as an audience member.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Good to know.
So apparently, this is something I was just reading, that there are a lot of LA porn stars getting into comedy.
Is that right?
A lot of crossover porn stars getting into comedy. And there's one comic, Sovereign Sire, out in LA. Sovereign Sire.
Sounds like a Game of Thrones lady or something.
She could. I haven't checked out her porn yet, but maybe she puts on some nice Game of Thrones costumes.
Sure.
She was talking about how in porn there's like this nakedness, vulnerability aspect to it, where you're bearing yourself in front of an audience, and then you're also telling jokes and comedy. I think she's done like 600 sets or something, and said that there's like this vulnerability aspect that she can feel between a porn set and a comedy set. So I wanted to ask you, do you ever feel, obviously it's different if you're not a porn star, but do you ever feel like there's a connection between the vulnerability of you getting naked in front of a person that you barely know and the vulnerability of telling a new joke in front of someone, most people that you barely know, in an audience? Because there is like, I'm trying this shit out for both of them for a little bit. Like, you're going to see if you're vibing with me.
Right.
I'm going to see if I'm vibing with you.
Yeah, I think it's different. I think a stripper is more like a comedian, but the only way a porn star is like a comedian to me is the fucked up background. You know, like you have to have some trauma to get you into this job, whether it's comedy or porn. I don't think porn is similar to comedy, because comedy you're creating. It's all like your point of view, your thoughts. They came out of thin air. Now you have to construct them in a way that's palatable and funny, and elicits involuntary laughter. Whereas a porn star is like, I'll blow this guy, I'll lick his ass, I'll lick his balls. It's all the moves are done. You know, like how creative can you really be as a porn star? I'll lick his ass while I'm upside down. I'll lick his ass while I have a Viking hat on. You know, like, so I think if a porn star's hot, I think if she's a great actress and good at fucking, I think you're going to be fine.
Yeah, we'll see.
But a comic has to, man or woman, has to come up with original ideas and make sure they make audiences laugh. They have to seem confident. They have to write new material, more material, kill for a certain amount of time. So I don't think you can compare the two. But
so stripper, you feel like a stripper may be more similar to,
it's
like
live.
In terms of the vulnerability. Yeah, you're working shit out.
You're working shit out. It's in front of an audience. You're working for tips. The tips are like the laughs. Like, oh wow, she did a fucking handstand and her tits fell on her face and she licked one of them. Here's $1.
Yeah.
You know, like that's a laugh. So I think strippers I would compare more to comics than porn star. Porn star, it's all set up for you. There's a camera, there's a director, there's an actor, there's a craft services.
Porn star is like a special, and strippers like you're working out a set.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. You're like making stuff clap on the pole. You're seeing what works from the businessman, but also like the creepy guy. Maybe you see a couple, so you're like, oh, this worked in this crowd. But like I was in Atlanta and that didn't work, but in New York that killed. So you're going back and you're analyzing your stripper set. So
yeah, and also porn is already labeled as like this naughty thing, whereas comedy can be clean, comedy can be dirty, comedy can be informative. I don't know. I think porn is. I'm sure there's some porn star right now waving a butt plug in anger, what the fuck? But, I don't know, call me, porn star. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, that would be a great We Might Be Drunk podcast. Have a porn star on that's doing comedy.
I would love that. Play,
awesome.
It's open invitation there, Sovereign
Sire, yeah.
Sriracha. Yeah, come on in. We'd love to have
Sovereign Sire using the Sriracha. There we go.
Oh,
spice things up.
I think Drake did that recently.
Did he?
He put hot sauce in a condom, and a girl poured this shit from the condom inside of her clam, and she burned.
Oh,
You didn't hear this?
no.
Oh, I'll send you a
no.
link.
Yeah, that's it seems like that's a terrible experience for Drake. I feel like if the girl is pouring her shit in there, she's not really having to deal with the shit. But then Drake has the spiciness of the sriracha
Yeah.
and the smell and feel of the shit. So he's but I can't wait for the next album. That's what I'll say. For Drake.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you have a favorite, a quote unquote favorite bombing experience to talk about? Like I'm sure, you know, I don't know what that feels like to bomb on stage, and I'm sure it's, you know, dreadful and
brutal.
You learn shit, but also it's like it fucking sucks, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But do you have one that you look back on and you're like, oh, it's kind of like my favorite bomb? Like it's what it was bad, but also, you know, something about it stuck out to you.
Well, the one that I've bombed millions of times, but the one that hurt the most was Kalamazoo, Michigan. Whatever the arena is there. It's like a hockey arena or whatever it is. 20,000 people. I'm opening for Schumer. She's a huge star, superstar. She's nice enough to let me open. She's sold out the place. I look out in the crowd. It's just me and then her. I do 20 minutes and I bring her on, and that's the show. And it's all like camo hats and a lot of dip and a lot of sleeveless and a lot of flannel. And I'm like, whatever. But before I go on, she goes, you know what? I'm going to produce your Comedy Central Hour. And I'm like, this is 2015. I'm like, oh my God, Comedy Central Hour. I've got nothing going on in my life. This is huge. Thank you. You're the best. You're such a great friend and so nice. And you're using your power to help me. But she goes, she's usually like so busy that she would sit in the green room and I would do a set and she would work on her notes or do her stuff. And then I would bring her on and she would kill. So she goes, but tonight, since I'm giving you this hour, I want to watch, see what kind of material you're doing, you know, so I can, you know, have a sense of it for TV. So I was like, all right, great. So it's been going great. It's a great tour. But for some reason, knowing she was there, she's sitting on the side of the stage. It's a giant arena. I go up first. I go up pretty cold. And I'm doing 20 minutes in front of her, in front of the crowd. And I eat shit. First joke bombs. Second joke bomb. This is 20,000 people.
Yeah.
The silence of 20,000 people is deafening.
Is it
piercing feeling.
Is it actual silence or is it dulled laughter? Because I've been to shows where I've listened to some podcasts where comedians talk about bombing after the fact, and I've been in the show and I wouldn't describe what they just did as bombing. So do you is bombing the laughter isn't to your expectation, or is bombing it's just it couldn't hear shit? Like was it actually pretty deafening?
Pretty
silence?
bad, pretty quiet, and you could hear like a every now and then, or like a
pre-COVID, so no one was freaked out. Yeah.
Exactly. Or they would be like a guy, I think I'm sitting here. I think I'm sitting. Oh, sorry. I thought this was my seat. You hear a little of that, or like, where are our seats? You know, you see people walking around because it's 20,000 people in a giant arena, and she's sitting there, and I can tell she's like, I'm just offering this guy a special with my name on it, and look, this is what he's doing. And I've been killing all tour, and I was like, this is the one. And on my back, the sweat running down my back is collecting in my asshole, and I'm soaking wet. And I made the mistake. It's Kalamazoo, Michigan. I'm a New York comedian. I thought in my head, like, oh, I'll open with the stuff I'm going to open the special with, which is like this whole therapy chunk, anxiety chunk. They don't fucking go to therapy. They don't know about, they don't have they call a guy with anxiety, what are you, gay or whatever? Yeah. So I should have just played to the crowd, but I opened with the stuff I thought I'd open the special with, and that was a huge mistake. And right after the anxiety opener, they were just like, fuck this guy. They checked out, and they're like, who is he, by the way? Where's Amy? We came to see, who's this guy? He's still on? Jesus Christ. And it was brutal. And I walked off. I was traumatized. I was like shaking.
Yeah. So you went with you didn't go with your gut. And,
yes.
And that ended up resulting in the bomb.
Yeah, I think so. Completely.
So now at this point in your comedy career, will you, when you have that gut feeling again, will you scrap something if you just have an inkling that like I don't think the city is gonna take this? I had this 5 minutes prepared to start off first, I'm going to scrap it and go with something else. You listen to your gut more now because of that experience?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I should have played it safe instead of being like, I was stubborn. I was like, I got this anxiety stuff. It works. They'll get it. It's an arena. They're here for comedy. It'll be fine. I should have just been like, no. They don't know who you are. They hate you. You suck. You're in the way of the show, of the headliner. Win them over. I should have had more lower self-esteem.
Yeah. Is Malcolm Gladwell the one that writes about like gut feeling, thinking in the moment? I'm trying to remember where I heard this, but
he's got the tipping point.
Tipping point. It might have been old Malcolm there, but whoever it was, they were writing about when you should listen to your gut feeling. And the premise was, if you have experience in a certain area, like if you've been doing comedy for 5, 10 plus years, you have built up this database of instinct and thousands of experiences where you're calling upon, regardless if you realize it or not. So when you're in the moment and you have a gut feeling about your expertise, you should always listen to that gut feeling, even if you don't realize where it's coming from. But in shit, like, I don't know, I barely know how to change a tire. So if I had a gut feeling, like, maybe I should use this fucking crowbar on the side of the road for a wrench because I don't have one. Don't listen to that feeling because I haven't done it before. But always go with your gut feeling when you've built up the repertoire. Because you don't even realize those fucking neurons, whatever's happening in your brain, are just connecting all and going like, bzz, like, this is the thing. You've done this 5,000 times before, and like, it's all culminating in this one feeling of I should go right or I should go left, and you're like, I kind of feel like I should go left. Go left.
I think that's completely dead on. Like, do you hear that this lady got pushed on the tracks yesterday? Did you hear about that?
No.
Yeah, some guy just pushed an old, or not old, but she was a Chinese lady or Asian lady, pushed her right on the tracks. Train came, she got hit, she died. And it's this big New York story. And he tried to do it to a woman earlier, and she got out of there and like finagled a way out. And then he went to the other lady and pushed her. And I think that first lady was like, something's up with this guy. I'm going with my gut. And I think the second lady probably had a gut feeling, but she's like, I don't want to be presumptuous. People are good. I'm not racist, whatever it is. And she stayed there and she got pushed.
So the first lady, she had those, 10,000 reps of creeps being around her in the subway.
Spidey sense.
Yeah, and she probably, a couple guys before that were like, maybe they didn't try to push her, but she got that feeling, maybe this guy's going to whip his dick out or something. And she got that vibe. And then the second lady just didn't trust her gut.
Yeah.
Should have read Malcolm.
Should have read Malcolm.
Yeah. Now Malcolm in the middle of the tracks now.
Hey, there you go.
There you go.
There it is, folks. Clip it.
Yep. So you mentioned at the end of a recent podcast on We Might Be Drunk, you mentioned an experience involving fentanyl.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've told a story about that, but I just heard you and Sam kind of, it was at the end of an episode.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, did you almost Mac Miller yourself? What happened?
Is that what happened to him?
Mac Miller, overdosed. It was a combination of cocaine, fentanyl, and some other drug. But I think he probably did cocaine with fentanyl in it and didn't realize the fentanyl was in there.
Whoa. The fentanyl, we were so up our own ass about the vaccine. It's like, hey, fentanyl is killing like way more people.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody seems to give a fuck. But yeah, I had trouble sleeping. I still do, but I was really like getting like an hour of sleep every night, and I was starting to go nuts. And I had this gig in Texas, and the opener will text you and be like, "Hey, I'm opening for you. I run this town. Anything you need booze, you need coke, you need drugs, you need whatever. I got it." I was like, "Well, if you can get some Xanax, I'm having trouble sleeping." He's like, "I'm an ex-addict. I know the guy. I got you." So he was trying to be super cool, and he got me these crazy Xanax called Green Hulks. They're like these tall, skinny things, and they're called Green Hulk, and that's what the street name, but they're crazy Xanax. Like, what do you call them?
Are they actually green, or do they look like
green.
The white? Okay.
They're green, and they look like totem poles. And he gave them to me, and I was like, oh, great, all right. And I'm such an idiot. I don't know anything about drugs, that one night I was like, I really want to get some sleep. We drank all night, And we had all these big plans to go. We're going to go tubing in the morning. There's these hot springs. We're going to wake up early, go tubing. We'll be hungover, but we'll have some drinks on the tube. It'll be a great day. I was like, great. Went home, want to get some sleep for the tubing, popped the whole thing. Apparently, supposed to break them up.
Yeah.
Popped the whole thing, and I slept for 25 hours. I fell asleep in the lobby. I got kicked out of the hotel because they're like, hey, you only had one room, like one night. So they pulled me out of the hotel, and I just fell asleep in the lobby. And it was such a shitbox hotel that they let me sleep in the lobby because it was just like there was probably a crackhead next to me. And my friend was calling me all day, like, hey, I'm ready to tube. Hey, we got a show tonight. Hey, where are you? Hey. So he showed up at the hotel, and here I am asleep in the lobby. And he's like, what the fuck is going on? So he's shaking me, and I won't wake up. He's dragging me around. My feet are dragging. And he calls my girlfriend. He called my agent. He's like, I don't know what's up with this guy. He's fucked up. So he said, let me call one of these IV places. And this lady was like a nurse also. She came over, gave me an IV, and I kind of started coming back to life, but I am fucked out of my mind. And she's like, this looks like a fentanyl thing.
Yeah.
And still did the show that night. But yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So did she test you or anything, or was she looked at the symptoms and she said, this is classic Fetty Wap?
Yeah,
whatever it was.
did the symptoms. There was no test, but I had to get a crazy IV pumped into me, and I was wobbly for like 2 days after.
Yeah, I was reading about fentanyl being put in cocaine.
Yeah.
Because that just didn't make sense to me. And, the few times that I've engaged in the devil's powder, it's been, in the back of my mind where I'm just like, is this going to be it? But I was looking into it online, and apparently, according to this person, there are warring cartels, obviously, in Mexico, wherever the coke is coming from. And if you're a dealer, it's not in your best interest to give your client a bad product. You want repeat business.
Sure.
It would be like if you gave if you're doing a comedy set and then you shot your audience in the head right after, you'd be like, see ya, like no repeat business.
Right.
You want those people coming back. So I was reading that warring cartels will contaminate the other one's supply unknowingly, and they'll sneak the fentanyl into the cocaine, and then the one cartel will think that they're shipping out good shit, and then the other one knows that, all right, we put however many grams in this coke, and it's getting shipped to the US, and people are gonna die or at least get have a bad experience, and then they'll stop going to that dealer and maybe go to the other one. So that was this lad's perspective. But I thought it
makes sense.
I've always thought about it, because it's like, why would someone contaminate the product willingly?
Exactly.
Because you want that person to come back, but there's shit behind the scenes that you don't even realize is going on. It's scary. It's scary shit.
And fentanyl is so addictive that people will be like, I need more. So if you give them a little, they'll come back, but then people overdo it.
Did you feel like something was wrong right away when you took it? Like
no,
sense something, or you kind of just passed out and woke up?
Knocked me out. And I was already drunk too when we went out drinking pretty hard. And then I took one. I was like, I'm going to sleep like a baby and sleep off this hangover and tube it up.
Yeah.
And boom, woke up like to my friend shaking me hours and hours later.
Well, definitely, we need you with us for the long haul. So definitely don't buy those Hulk bars off the street. Get the legit stuff. It's worth it.
Yeah. If you got any Xanax, please hook me up.
Oh yeah, that's part of my gift. Yeah.
Oh,
After
great.
I bought the backpack for you. There we go.
That's a lot of Xanax.
Yeah. Yeah, I was shaking around. So, speaking of death and people being pushed onto tracks, if there was a Squid Game style comedy competition. So did you watch Squid Game?
Yeah, I did. It was fun.
So 6 rounds, one round is you got to write the best jokes. Second round is you got to crush on a podcast. Third round is you got to do a tight 15, got to win each round, and there's 300 comedians mashed into one Squid Game. Besides yourself, who do you think would make it to the final episode? Which 2 comedians do you think would make it to the final 2 episodes of a comedy style Squid Game? So writing, podcast, performing, green room conversation. Some guy that doesn't want to make you kill yourself in the green room. Like they got the whole package. Which two comics besides yourself do you think would make it?
That's a great question. Because a lot of comics are great at one thing, but not another. So like great writers maybe are on a podcast. They're kind of boring, and vice versa. Some comics are kill on podcasts and their act sucks. So I would say Bill Burr. I mean, the guy is just great. He's a great comic, obviously, and then on a microphone, on a pod, he's hilarious. He does his own pod, and it's entertaining. It's just him in a room. And it's still great.
Him by himself, right? He just rants. Yeah.
And then he goes on other pods and he's great. And he's contrarian and he's got good points and he's funny and he's energetic. He brings it, So he'd be one for sure. He would last. He's very scrappy and wiry and he figures out a way in.
Yeah. He's like Norm Macdonald in the sense that he clearly prepares for his late night appearances, like when he's an actual guest on the couch, but it comes off as he's just telling a story,
right?
And it's like this back and forth dynamic, and so that would be another category. You got a crush on Conan, which you've had great Conan sets, so you'd be in there. Who else besides Bill Burr do you think would make it to that final episode?
Well, I would say Dave Attell. But sometimes he can be hard to hang with because he's like a squirrely guy, He's a brilliant comic, but he's a little fidgety.
So you think for, let's say, the fourth game would be you have to go out and hang out with other comics after a show and not be awkward, not make other like you don't think he would make it through that round?
Yeah, well, he's an awkward guy. I mean, I love him to death, and I'm a fan, but he's awkward. I think most comics we're in our heads. We're weird.
All right, so Dave Attell's out. Who's replacing Dave Attell?
That's tough. I want to say Greg Giraldo, but he's dead, so he might not last that long if he's already dead. We
could bring him back just for Squid Game.
All right. Well, let me think. Gaffigan's pretty great. Who else? I mean, Norm is up there. Norm's a great hang. Sweet guy. Podcasts are amazing. I still watch all his content, and his stand-up was amazing.
Yeah, he had a great one on Howard Stern. I'm sure he's done a bunch on Howard Stern, but there's one on SoundCloud that you can listen to publicly with Norm. That's great.
Great stuff. Seinfeld is also a good comic, and he's on Stern a bunch, and it's always captivating. He's not really slinging jokes all day, but he's super and I've hung out with him, and he's a great hang.
What's something that surprised you about Seinfeld? Something that if you didn't hang out with Seinfeld, you wouldn't realize about him?
Well, we do this thing where we put everybody up on a pedestal because they're famous and he's a household name, but he's so normal. He's like wildly normal. And to the point where you're like, this guy's kind of a dick, huh? And you're like, no, he's the same as me. But you just assume because he's rich and famous and a sitcom star that he's going to be like rainbows and cupcakes, but he's a normal guy. He's a Long Island guy who likes baseball and cars and comedy. And he doesn't want to do shit he doesn't want to do. And he's got depression. Like, he's just a normal dude. And that was wildly surprising.
Yeah.
He's more normal than I am.
Yeah, but when I think of Seinfeld, besides his comedy, I think of this clip where he's getting off a bike or something in the city.
I love that clip.
And some guy goes up to him and he asks him some bullshit question. I forget what the exact question was, but it's like, what are you doing? Like he's like, what are you doing? Why are you here? And he's like, I work. Like I'm getting work. I'm putting my work in. And he's like, well, you're a billionaire. Why do you do what are you doing here? Like, you don't have to do this right now. He's like, does that mean I don't work? I just, paraphrasing, but he's like, I basically just pack it in and slide in my coffin and like, that's it, just because I made a lot of money. And
totally, yeah. The guy rolls up Seinfeld rolls up on a bicycle. He's got the helmet on, the glasses, and the guy goes, Jerry. You can tell he has this prepared line, and Jerry goes, that was it?
Like TMZ or something.
Yeah, he's like, you get one shot with me, and that was your fucking question? Like, come on, dude. You gotta come better than that. And it was such a great zing because the guy was so defeated. It was a great way to shut the guy down in one sentence.
Yeah. So, speaking of billionaires, if Mark Zuckerberg has his way, we will all slowly slip into the metaverse, whether we realize it or not. What do you think Will you embrace comedy in the metaverse, like augmented reality, where you put on a VR set and maybe you're in New York, but you're doing a set in LA and it feels like a three-dimensional view of people in the audience? It's not just Zoom comedy, but let's say they get so good that they get rid of the delay. It feels like laughter in real time to you. It feels like jokes in real time to the audience, and you're saying it through this augmented reality headset in the metaverse. Will you embrace that type of comedy? Like it's the new thing, and I'm just the old guy who doesn't understand it. Like
Right.
me, I don't get a lot of it either. Or will you kind of go towards more? I'm only gonna do in-person sets. Metaverse not for me.
I
What
mean,
do
I
you think it'll be like?
hate to be the old curmudgeon, but I'll try it. I mean, it's fascinating and impressive, but I don't know. I just don't think it's going to have the same spark. I mean, you could say, I would ask the same thing about sex. They got this metaverse sex. Would you do it? You go, yeah, I'd try it, but I don't think it'll be the same as a penis penetrating
Yeah.
a warm, wet vagina. Feels like
Yeah.
that's going to be hard to replicate. The breath, the body heat, the moans. I don't know.
Yeah.
You need all that extra shit that we take for granted.
Yeah, it would. Maybe the metaverse sex would get rid of some of the awkward post conversation because you could always fake
That's
a
true.
connection issue.
That's
Be like,
true.
oh, I came, like it's buffering, and then you just log out, and,
Yeah.
and you're fine.
You know what's going to happen? Eventually, we're going to have all this crazy technology. This is in like 50 years. Crazy technology, and you're going to have this group of weirdos who are like, we like it the original way, and that's going to be cool. To do it like you notice we're so advanced on our phones and everything that a lot of the shit that goes viral is the most basic shit because we tend to keep going back there. Westerns are popular again because it's just a guy out on the range with a shotgun and a horse.
Yeah.
We crave that, because we're so up our own ass on social media and Amazon and Uber. So I think we just tend to go hard one way, then we go back. It's like hair metal, then goes to grunge, then goes to hip hop. It just keeps changing, and I think that's what's going to be like with technology.
Yeah, I've thought about that. Like, when the metaverse gets good and performing in virtual reality, augmented reality is new, people will embrace it, I'm sure, because it's going to be addictive. That's what Facebook does, Instagram does. But then will there be a point maybe 5-10 years down the line where people get nostalgic and they're like, I want to do a podcast in person again. I want to see a concert in person again. Maybe they've seen their last 20 concerts in augmented reality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's going to come back.
Yeah. So I wanted to end off on Mark Norman's guide to being happy.
Ooh.
If you were to gift your 18-year-old self with what you know now, Mark Norman's guide to being happy, what would be the top 2 rules in that guide?
Aha. Wow. All right. I think one, I'd probably cool it with the booze and find out who your real friends are. Don't waste a lot of time with look, it's cool to have acquaintances and associates and buddies, but find out who the real friends are and stick with them and spend a lot of time with them. And don't waste a lot of time with fluffy people you just kind of come in contact with. Be nice. Always be gracious and diplomatic. But I think find those real people in your life and hang out with them more and absorb them more. And don't worry so much. And I can still use this today. Don't worry so much about what people think because people are going to hate you. People are going to love you. And you can't control all of it. So it's a waste of time. And I'm talking to myself right now.
Yeah.
It's a waste of time to stew over it,
Yeah.
So find the people who love you. Stick with them. Be nice to everybody. Be cool. Don't be mean. Don't be hurtful. Don't be vindictive. But find your people. And for me, it's whites only. No.
Yeah,
But, find your people and stick with them and absorb them and be better friends with them and be yourself all the time. Look, there's politeness. There's, way to conduct yourself professionally sometimes, but you got to try to be yourself, even if it's weird. And all we do all day long is put on a face and sculpt who we think people will like. I think the more you're you, I think the better. Like, don't go out of your way and be like, I'm me. I'm going to be naked all the time. I'm not saying that. Don't go extreme, but be you.
Yeah, unless you're Sovereign Sire, then you can do whatever you want with the Sriracha or Drake, whatever you're into. But yeah, no, that's a good point. It feeds off of each other. When you're yourself, and this is something I'm still figuring out, when you're yourself, that is like a filter for letting people into your life that are only going to fuck with you. And so if you're just yourself, your friends will take care of it because people will either hate the shit out of you or they'll love you. But if you kind of be this weird in between of I'm trying to fake it, and you're going to attract all these people that may think they like you, and then the walls drop and you're who you actually are. And then your quote unquote friends are like, who the fuck is this guy? You're like, I've been faking it the whole time. And,
exactly. I mean, that's what Instagram is. Every girl's smoking hot, and then you see what they really look like, and you're like, whoa. And look, you got that joy of being hot to everybody for a second, but if it ain't reality, it's really not that great.
Yeah.
You know, so just be the okay-looking person. That's not the end of the world. And I know it's harder to swallow because you're like, I want to be hot, I want to be gorgeous, but it's like, well, you know, I want to be 6'4", but it's just not the breaks.
Yeah.
So, and then the second thing is be a little self-aware. You know, like you got to remember, to the monsters, you're the monster. You see what I'm saying? Like bad guys think you're the bad guy. Al-Qaeda thinks we're fucked up. And we go, hey, you're fucked up. You're cutting people's heads off. And they're like, yeah, but we're doing it for Allah, whatever the hell it is. You're fucked up because you have porn and alcohol and all that and gay people. And you're like, yeah, but that's not bad. You're bad. And they're like, no, you're bad. So you got to remember the monsters think you're the monsters.
Yeah, it's like the monsters are more scared of you than you are in a lot of ways.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So be a little self-aware. You know, when someone hates you, be like, why do they hate me? What have I done? Or what's wrong with them? Or what's wrong with me? Like, actually think about what you're doing to people instead of just pointing fingers. This guy sucks. He doesn't get it. Fuck him. And you're like, well, what is it that they're not getting about you? And maybe how could you be better? No one's internalizing now.
Yeah.
Everybody's just like, it's because I'm this. It's because I'm that. That's why they hate me, or they don't like me. That's why I'm not advancing. Suck it. Go inward a little bit, and maybe there's something wrong with you. How come that guy made it and you didn't? What did he do that you didn't do? Instead of just saying he made it because he got this and that, and I didn't, and they don't like me. Figure out what's going on with you because someone else did it, so you could do it. It's not always their fault. Sometimes it's your fault.
And if you're self-aware, you'll realize, hey, I'm a fucking monster too.
Yes.
In some ways, everyone has those ways that you're hiding from people, from everyone except your true friends. Everyone has those sides to them. So
totally
great advice. Mark Norman's Guide to Being Happy. You know, you can't pick that up, but you can pick up Out to Lunch on YouTube. Can you plug everything one more time?
Sure. Out to Lunch on YouTube. Give it a whirl. Let's get to 10 million views. It's the stand-ups on Netflix. I got a half hour on there. It just came out. It's a fun batch of material. We Might Be Drunk podcast, Tuesdays with Stories podcast. I have my own Patreon that I do called All Over the Road, and it's me. My friend films me, and we go all over the country doing gigs, and I have my own podcast. So check it out. Give it a whirl. Tell a friend, and praise Allah.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.